Hi there. Okay, so I've been listening to you for a long time, and I've been doing this work, and I moved out to Los Angeles because I wanted to be rich and famous, like everybody that comes here. And I wanted to work in the entertainment business, and
No
I
one
wanted
ever
to be
says, I moved down because I wanted to be happy.
Yeah, I know, right?
And yet everybody thinks that the rich and famous will make them happy.
Exactly, right.
Yes?
No. No, I found out that quickly that I was doing it because I wanted people to love me. I wanted all the people that made fun of me, I wanted them to say, oh, he's famous now and love me. So I figured that out. And I've got a little bit of a story to get to my question. I'll make it as short as I can. So I came out there to do that, and then I quickly got sick. I became HIV positive. And I thought, well, that sucks, I came out here to fulfill my dreams, and now I'm going to die. So my life took a completely different direction, and I started seeking how to stay alive and how to heal. What happened is I started working with healers, one after another, and every time I would meet a healer, they would tell me, you're a healer. And I didn't know what that meant. How can you just say that I am something that I've never been educated in or anything? So I started studying with healers and such, and then the third person I met told me that when she was doing an atonement on me, she was a Reiki master. She started an atonement on me. An atonement, for anybody who doesn't know what it is, it kind of opens you up so that you can do healing. Just telling the story, I'm having pain in my back, which is really wild. She told me, you don't need to do this because you were a master healer in a previous life. I thought, well, that's strange. She said, all you need to do is just remember. So I started doing that. And what happened as a result was I've been having success as a healer. So my question is, what's the difference? It's like I came out here with wants and desires of being an executive producer. And what happened is I found a career, or it's not even a career, but what's the difference between what our wants and desires are and maybe what our purpose is or what our destiny is? Is our wants and desires and purpose and destiny connected? And where do our wants and desires come from?
Well, we like to be deliberate as we talk around the subject of destiny, because destiny implies that there's been a predecision that you are destined to discover, and that unless you do that, then something's wrong.
Right.
And that leaves out the whole freedom of creation that you were all born to experience. Really, if there was a destiny already discovered and decided, you wouldn't come forth to explore for more.
Right.
That would be like all that you'd lived before had brought you to this knowing, and now it's important to go back and do specifically such and such. It's like it's being decided from a different perspective than you here in this physical body, and that is not the way that it is.
Exactly.
But the reason that so many people come across the idea or concept of destiny is because you are, all of you, inextricably tied to your inner being. In other words, your inner being stands as the culmination of all that you are. And that calling can feel like destiny. It's your inner being having listened to everything that you've lived and now knowing unequivocally we're standing in your vortex, knowing who you now really are vibrationally, and now calling the rest of you to that, because that's where the satisfaction is in closing that gap, to have identified that you want it, to have lined up your energy so that you're in sync with it, and now to realize it fully in this physical expression. So everyone who comes into physical form has all of these capabilities to understand who they are, to feel the resonance of that broader intention, right, and to fulfill alignment with that broader intention. It seemed like we were playing with you a little bit, but we really wanted to make an important clarification when you said, I wanted to come out to California to become rich and famous. And we said, well, people don't usually say that they want to come out to be happy, and yet that is the reason. There isn't anything that anyone wants, whether it is to be rich and famous or physical objects or piles of money or relationships. Nothing. There's nothing that anyone wants for any other reason than that they believe that they will feel better in the having of it. Right. And so you could say in very broad terms that you were called to California because you wanted to find vibrational alignment with who you really are. And what you found was something that surprised you. You found more contrast. Right. And that more contrast caused you to launch more rockets of desire. It caused you to shore up or to frame up or to intensify or to exaggerate your desire. And so it caused you to want to be the creator of your own reality. In other words, think about it. Do you know anyone who learns more the subject than the teacher?
No.
And doesn't it also follow that it would be logical that if there's something that you really want to know, that being the teacher of it would be the next logical step?
Absolutely.
Esther has been coming to some really strong awarenesses recently, as she's been observing things going on in the world and up close in her own experience. And there's a human tendency that causes you to try it the sort of physical way first. And then, after a little while, sometimes you realize that there's only one way to really get to where you want to be, and that is to find vibrational alignment with it, which is the perfect definition of what healing is. Right. It's coming into harmony with who you really are, no longer holding yourself apart from who you really are. And so, now with that basis, what was your specific question to us? What's the difference between
destiny and desire between desire versus destiny, and what was the other word I used?
Well, we'll say to you that your desire that is occurring to you is your path toward what you're wanting to call destiny.
Right.
We're not really wanting to call it destiny, but it's your in-the-moment path toward the bigger picture of who you are. But that bigger picture, this is the emphasis that we want to make. That bigger picture is more about what you have sifted and sorted and decided in this physical experience than it was what you decided as you came forth. Because when you came from non-physical to this physical experience, you already knew you were worthy, and you already knew the potential of it was going to be fantastic. Your destiny is living happily ever after. Your destiny is being tuned into who you really are. Your destiny is exploring and discovering the new. Your destiny is lining up with the new and feeling the exhilaration. Your destiny is your empowerment. Right. Your destiny is your freedom to choose and your ability to accomplish anything that you decide. It's not pre-decided. It's the same thing as asking a child who is just going into his early schooling of kindergarten or first grade to say to him, and what will be your vocation? And he says, what? And you say, choose now.
Yeah.
Choose now, because you have a destiny and you better start moving toward your destiny now.
Right.
And this child would say, more experience, please. Can't I decide later? No, destiny. No, there's destiny. There's no decision here. There's no freedom of choice here. There's a destiny.
See, and
it is not like that.
I struggled with that because when I was a kid, I was an artist. I was the golden child. I was great at a million things. And when I grew up, I wanted to be all of them. And I felt like I had to make a choice.
And why did you want to be all of them?
Because
all of them were fun.
Yes,
because all of them were satisfying in different ways. Right. Because it made you more. Because it gave you more definition. Because
So here's another question with that. So I wanted to be the executive producer, and I've been working and working and working.
Why? What is it about being an executive producer that rings your bells the most?
Because as a writer, as an artist, I have all these beautiful
ideas.
What
is it about being an executive producer that rings your bells the most? I'm in charge. My decisions matter a lot. I'm listened to.
Yeah.
Yes?
I want it's true, and I like being in charge. I've been the boss in most of my job.
Yeah.
So, and I'm good at it.
Yes, you are. So that's your destiny, to be in charge of your experience, to be the deliberate attractor of what you want.
Okay.
In other words, that's what that's all about. And we think, now, we're not trying to guide you away from healing because you're good at that. We're not in any way, shape, and form. And if that's ringing your bells, then we think that's a wonderful thing that you have discovered about, something else that you've discovered about yourself.
Right.
But we want you to understand that that feeling of that is because before healing of any kind can occur, there has to be a lessening of resistance and a closing of that gap, an alignment with who you really are.
Right.
And that's what that first message was really about. As we are offering to Esther, we're offering blocks of thought, sometimes big concepts, sometimes specific concepts, but always vibrational blocks of thought that she is at an unconscious level translating into the physical word equivalent from her vocabulary. And so she or anyone who's receiving in that way is doing the best they can to find the word, even the word Abraham. The name Abraham doesn't imply a specific being from olden times that has now reincarnated in order to There's nothing like that going on. We were letting Esther know that we were teachers and that we were at the heart or the basis of everything philosophical or even religious that had ever been. And even though Esther did not have any working knowledge of who Abraham was, of course had heard the name in the biblical sense, but did not really understand it. At an unconscious level, that was the best word that described what we were conveying to her about who we were,
right.
You see.
Yeah.
So it's not as literal as people want to make it. And so being a healer was not meant as literally as you want to make it. It meant coming into alignment, which makes you whole. We think the better word than healer would be wholer.
I agree.
The wholer of who you are.
And it made me feel more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good enough? Something more?
Well, I just think it's interesting that the one thing that I wanted was so hard to get, where healing became so easy. So there was a point in my life where I questioned.
But think about it. The one thing I wanted was so hard to get. Why? Because I thought it was hard to get.
Yeah.
If you think something's lost, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
And if you think something is hard to get, you're not going to get it easily.
I get that, right.
And so the story that you're telling us, isn't it what we just said earlier?
Right.
Get your attention off the thing where you have practiced yourself into struggle and focus upon something new where there is no struggle, and watch how the universe will back you up on any pure, clear thought.
Yeah, thank you.
You want what you want.
Yeah.
You're not ever can convince us that you don't want that.
Right.
And why can't you have it all?
I can.
Yeah. And the operative word, the word that we're going to take away from all of this, of everything that you said, I'm good at it.
Right.
I'm good at it. And you know why you're good at it? Because you love it.
I do love it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.